What is up, guys? My name is Theo, and today we are talking about my desk setup for 2021. Alright, so before we get into the desk setup, for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Theo. I do a lot of photo and video content here on this channel, as well as a little bit of tech thrown in there as well. So if that is your jam, definitely consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you guys are notified when I do post new videos. So if there's anything that we could probably all relate to, we've probably all been spending a lot of time here at our home desks just because of what's been going on. So putting together my own desk setup for this year has been something I've been looking forward to even before the whole pandemic thing happened. But being able to finally make it happen is something that I've been super excited about and I want to share with you guys. All right, so now moving on to the desk. Now, this desktop is a butcher block countertop that I got from Home Depot and not IKEA. I tried to get one from IKEA. Turns out they were sold out. I've been sold out for a while, but I'm kind of glad they were because the butcher block countertop from Home Depot is a little bit more higher quality than the ones from IKEA. This butcher block is actually wood all the way through instead of the countertops from IKEA. The IKEA ones are like some kind of composite in the middle and only have just a little bit of like wood on the outsides of the actual countertop. But this one, yeah, I could literally cut this in any shape that I want and you wouldn't have to attach those little strips that they give you to make it look normal so it'll fit in. The color was a lot lighter before. I did go with an espresso stain and kind of ended up going with a little more of a rustic look. That was kind of by accident, but ended up turning out way better than I thought it would. So I would highly recommend using a Home Depot countertop as opposed to the IKEA one, especially if you are more of a woodworker yourself. You can do a lot more with something like this than you could with the IKEA brand. As far as the legs that I have it attached to, I did go with the fully Jarvis legs. I have wanted a sit-stand desk for a long time. It's kind of been like the dream setup for me for quite a while. So being able to make that happen and attaching a longer countertop is definitely something I've been wanting for quite a while. Just being able to have a little more breathing room and being able to kind of put things along the whole desk and being able to use it for like photos and thumbnails and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I've been absolutely loving this desk combo and would highly recommend it to you guys. All right, so as for the chair that I'm using for my desk setup, I am using the IKEA Jarfalette, I think is what it's called. It's been great, super comfortable. I considered it for a pretty long period of time and still be pretty comfortable. I do like how tall the back is and that it actually gives you a headrest. But yeah, I've been loving it. It's been a great addition to my desk setup. So now moving on to the screen that I got for my desk setup, I ended up going with the BenQ PD2700U, I believe is what it is. This monitor was definitely probably the best bang for buck when it comes to like image quality and color accuracy. For any kind of like photo and video work, color accuracy was one of the more important things that I wanted when it came to my monitor. So yeah, ended up going with this one and I've been absolutely loving it. This is the 27-inch version, which I think is kind of like the sweet spot, especially for having a desk like this, which isn't very deep. You actually sit pretty close to the monitor, so you don't necessarily need something like a 34-inch monitor when you are sitting this close to the screen. Now I have this monitor attached to a monitor arm to kind of give it that kind of floating effect. Again, with this being such a shallow desk, I did want to free up a little more space on the desk itself, and I kind of like the whole floating effect that it gives. I ended up going with the Amazon Basics monitor arm. The reason for that was that it was the only monitor arm that I could find that allowed you to run your cables into the main tube itself to kind of clean up the wires, so you wouldn't necessarily have to strap them to the pole itself. So I don't know why it's not a very common thing to do, I guess, for monitor arms, but the Amazon brand was the only one that ended up having that I could find, and it's a relatively pretty cheap monitor arm itself. So I would recommend it especially if you are trying to go for that kind of clean look when it comes to your cable management. Now this monitor arm is plugged in to one of the new M1 Mac Minis. I did upgrade this to the 16 gigabytes as well as a terabyte of storage, and I've been absolutely loving this computer. For it being such a relatively cheap computer, you're getting quite a bit of horsepower, especially when you are doing photo and video stuff like I am. I would highly recommend it. I haven't really ran into too many issues, kind of a little more like minor issues and like little glitches here and there. But as far as like for video and photo work, it's been great. It hasn't really slowed me down at all. It's been handling everything that I throw at it, which I don't throw too much at it to begin with, but it's nice to kind of have some headroom in case I do find myself running into some bigger projects or anything like that. I got plenty of headroom and horsepower to handle all of that. So it's been absolutely an amazing computer for what I do, at least. Now, next to the computer itself, I did pick up the OWC Thunderbolt 4 dock, I believe is what it's called. This was one of the newer ones that came out from OWC. I did see a lot of reviews of like the smaller one that recently came out just before this one. It was highly recommended from everyone who did videos on it because it does give you 3 extra ports and they are all running at that Thunderbolt 3 or Thunderbolt 4 speeds. It was giving you 3 extra USB-C Thunderbolt ports that were all running at full speed, just plugging into that one USB-C plug in the back of the M1 computer. So I did want something that was a little more versatile as far as an SD card reader kind of built into the whole thing. So it's been working great. The SD card reader is super fast. I haven't had any issues with that, but the only downside to this dock is that you have to plug it in the front of the dock itself. I think it's more meant for like laptops. If you're having your laptop set up right here next to your monitor, you can kind of just plug that in and kind of have a short cord plugged right into it, but I don't have a laptop, so it is unfortunate that I can't hide that cable, but it is tucked in pretty nicely. But it's not the end of the world. It doesn't stick out too much, and I hardly ever notice it. Now, initially before this, I did have a CalDigit USB-C Pro dock, and I thought I was having issues with that. As far as having drives plugged into that would disconnect after the computer would go to sleep or something like that. But I am running into that same issue. I thought it fixed it when I was plugging them directly into the Mac Mini itself, but it was also having that same issue. So it's an M1 computer issue, but that's not really an issue with this dock itself. It's kind of more of a Mac Mini thing. But this dock has been super great. It's been super fast, and it's been doing everything that I've needed it to do. So I'll do a video probably on these two things a little bit later. But for now, back to the desk setup. Now, as I said earlier, I do have drives plugged into this dock. So what I've done is just use some Velcro tape, and I've stuck them underneath the desk and got them out of the way so they're not taking up any more space on the desk. And that way, if I need to take one of them with me, I can literally just unhook it and rip it off the Velcro and do what I need to do. When I come back, I can just plug it back in and stick it back to the Velcro, and I'm good to go. So now these drives are kind of fed through the whole cable management system that I have set up for this desk. Now, I did a whole video on the cable management setup that I have for this desk, with it being a standing desk. It is a lot more challenging to kind of hide the cables and get everything out of the way so nothing's hanging. So definitely check that out. I will link it up above. I did my best to copy Edward Lee's cable management system, and I think it turned out pretty well. Let me know what you guys think if you guys are looking to cable manage your own desk setups. Alright, so as for the speakers that I have for my desk setup, I just have a basic pair of Bose Companion 2s. The main reason why I went with these is because I wanted a setup that didn't have a subwoofer, and the sound that comes out of these speakers is a pretty full, well-rounded sound, so I have no complaints there. I'm mainly just using them for like music and like watching YouTube videos and stuff on it. I do use them for editing my videos from time to time, but if I ever need to do any kind of accurate like audio monitoring, I will bust out some headphones for that. But for the most part, these are great, and they work perfectly for what I wanted them for. So as for peripherals, I am using the MX Master keys as well as the MX Master 2S for the mouse. They've been great. I am using the little dongle because there are Bluetooth issues with the M1 computers. Yeah, it works for the most part. There are some stuttering every now and then, but it's way more consistent than it is just using Bluetooth, so that's what I use for that. And as for all the other little things that I have on my desk, I do have a gray desk mat on my desk. It was just a random brand that I found on Amazon. I did go through a few mats, but this one was the closest one to the Alex drawers as far as the gray color. The only gray colors that I found were pretty light, so I ended up just sticking with this one. And this one is nice because the bottom is actually has quite a bit of grip on it, so it doesn't slide around. So that was another thing that I was looking forward to on this one. So it's been great. It's waterproof, so I can put drinks on it, and the color matches pretty well to the Alex drawers. Now, last few things, I do have a Spider-Man coaster. When I don't put it on the mat, I will put it on the coaster. I do have the Spider-Man statue in the back as well. That was the collectible item that I got from the Spider-Man PS4 game that I had for quite a while that I actually didn't even have out at all. I was just waiting for a nice desk that I could put it on, so I finally busted that out. And as for the light that I have on my desk, it is just a random $30 light from Target. I just like that it kind of looked like a mic boom, so I ended up just going with that one. There's a Yi light bulb colored light in there. I do also have just a basic Anchor wireless charger, just so I can top off my phone when I'm just sitting here at my desk and it is getting a little low. I can kind of charge up a little bit before I walk away. And lastly, a desk setup would not be a desk setup without some kind of fake IKEA plant. Yeah, this was just a little cheap plant that I found as I was walking through, and it does add a little splash of green to this very gray desk setup that I have going here. Oh, and I almost forgot, I do actually have a pair of Alex drawers that I have on the side of the desk. I was actually planning on putting the butcher block countertop on the drawers, but decided to end up pulling the trigger on these on the fully Jarvis legs. I have them just perfectly spaced right on the outside of the desk, and it just adds a ton of storage kind of for my office area. I am on a third floor loft, so I don't have a closet from like a bedroom that most people have for their offices, so I kind of need as much storage as I can take. So these drawers definitely come in handy for just the random miscellaneous things that I can kind of hide and keep my desk setup looking nice and clean and tidy. But yeah, that's about it for my 2021 desk setup. I hope you guys did enjoy it and maybe possibly picked up a couple of things and a couple of ideas for your own desk setups. If you guys did get something out of it and enjoyed this video, definitely hit that like button. It is much appreciated. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.